In the constant rush of modern life, it's easy to lose sight of who we truly are. Without realizing it, we begin to live inside a self-made cage, one built by our ego. This ego is not a villain in the shadows, but a subtle voice within that constantly seeks validation, clings to identities, and fears change. It convinces us that we are separate from others. That we must always defend, compete, and compare. Over time, these illusions create tension in our relationships, restlessness in our hearts, and a persistent sense that something is missing. Yet, there is another way to live, a way rooted in clarity, peace, and deep connection. Through the transformative power of mindfulness, we can learn to watch the movements of the ego without being controlled by them. Each mindful breath becomes a moment of freedom. Each step of awareness becomes a bridge leading us back to our true self. On the Dharma journey, we explore the timeless wisdom of the Buddha, guiding you to see beyond the ego's distortions and return to a space of compassion and understanding. In this episode, we will share 5 practical and profound mindfulness practices that not only help you recognize the ego's patterns but also allow you to gently dissolve them, so you can live with more authenticity, openness, and joy. Have you ever noticed that most of your stress, exhaustion, and anxiety don't really come from the events happening around you, but from your own effort to protect an image of yourself? An image so fragile, yet guarded as if it were the most precious thing in the world. That image whispers to you, I must be right. I must be respected. I must be seen. In the Buddha's teaching, this is called self-clinging, the belief in a solid I or me. But in truth, it's more like a reflection on water. The more you try to hold it still, the more ripples appear. And the more distorted it becomes. Yet most of us spend our whole lives defending it, as if we were guarding a sandcastle from the tide, terrified of the wave that will wash it away. You can see this clearly when you remember the last time someone disagreed with you. Almost instantly, a sense of threat arose. Or when you did something good but received no recognition. A wave of disappointment and hurt came over you. When you were misunderstood, you wanted to explain yourself, not simply to clarify facts, but to restore your image in someone else's eyes. This belief becomes the root of our suffering. Imagine standing on the bank of a river. On your side is the life you know, full of reactivity, tension, comparisons, and constant striving. On the far bank is stillness, where you no longer need to prove your worth, win arguments, or cling to being right. The river between is ignorance, the inability to see the self for what it is. For someone just starting on the path of awakening, crossing this river can feel impossible. From childhood, we learn to attach our value to praise, attention, and approval. When praised, we feel better. When criticized, we feel less. Over the years, these fragments of praise and blame have formed a mask. We've worn it for so long, we've forgotten the face beneath. The Buddhist way is not to rip the mask away with force, but to see it clearly for what it is, something temporary, not who we really are. When you see the mask, when you notice it arise and fade, if you can smile, breathe deeply, and recognize that this is just a wave of the ego, it will pass, leaving no trace. Like a reflection on calm water, when you stop grasping, the surface naturally becomes still, and the sky is perfectly mirrored. When you understand the nature of non-self, you react less and listen more. You realize you don't have to win every argument. Because winning only feeds the ego, not the heart. You become less affected by praise and blame, because your worth no longer depends on anyone else's view, it comes from the quiet strength within. The Buddha never told us to destroy the ego by denying it. He taught us to see it clearly. The ego is not an enemy to be fought, nor a loyal friend to be trusted, it is an illusion, born of habit and ignorance. And when you see the illusion, you are no longer trapped by it. Once you are no longer bound by the need to protect your self-image, you can breathe in and out freely, without resistance. Every breath becomes freedom. Because true freedom is not about changing others so they will recognize you. It's about seeing that you never needed recognition to exist. And that is the gift of awakening. When we talk about the ego, many people instantly think of something negative, something to get rid of, to fight, or to destroy. But from a Buddhist perspective, the ego is not the enemy. It's not a monster lurking in the dark, waiting to ruin your life. It's simply your mind's survival mechanism, a shell you've built over the years to help you navigate and adapt to the world. From the time you were a child, you began collecting stories about yourself. I'm the son or daughter of so-and-so. I'm good at this. I'm bad at that. I'm a kind person. I'm not worthy. Each story became a piece of the puzzle. Then society handed you labels, your job title, your achievements, your appearance, your personality. Over time, all these pieces formed a picture you now call me. The ego exists to give you a sense of orientation in the world. It's like a map. But here's the problem, when you forget that it's just a map. You mistake it for the actual territory. When you fully identify with your ego, believing you are only those stories, memories, and labels, suffering begins. Because everything the ego clings to is impermanent. And when those things change or disappear, it feels as if you are threatened or diminished. The Buddha taught about anatta, or non-self, the truth that there is no fixed, independent, unchanging I. This body changes moment by moment, and so does this mind. Thoughts, feelings, and memories come and go like clouds drifting across the sky. But the ego tries to gather those clouds, arrange them into shapes, and declare, "This is me. I must keep it exactly this way." When the clouds dissolve, fear and suffering arise. You can see this mechanism at work in everyday life. When someone praises you, the ego swells and you feel light. When someone criticizes you, the ego contracts and you feel hurt. When you succeed, the ego beams with pride. When you fail, it sinks into despair. Like a small boat tossed on rough seas. Your mind rises and falls because you've given the outside world the power to define who you are. Here's the good news, you don't have to destroy your ego to find peace. You just have to see it clearly for what it is. See that it's only a part of your mind, a tool, not your true essence. Through mindfulness, you begin to notice the difference between I and my thoughts, between I and my feelings. You realize, I am not my thoughts. I am not my emotions. I am far more than my ego. Imagine sitting by the side of a road, watching all your thoughts and emotions pass by like cars. The ego is like a driver shouting, "That red car is me. That old rusty one is me too. I have to keep them all." But when you simply watch in silence, you see that each car passes on its own. You don't have to chase or hold on to any of them. And when you stop clinging, a sense of relief and spaciousness begins to fill your heart. Buddhism doesn't teach us to defeat the ego, but to live mindfully with it. The ego can still exist as part of the human experience, but it no longer drives the wheel. It's like learning to steer a boat. At first, the waves take you wherever they want. But once you hold the oar of mindfulness, you can let the waves roll without being carried away. When you live with this awareness, you're no longer ruled by the need to prove yourself, to argue, or to protect your image. You can accept that others may think differently. You can smile even when someone misunderstands you, because you know your worth isn't determined by their view. And more importantly, you discover a liberating truth: every story about me is just a story. Your true nature is boundless. In this way, the ego becomes a companion, not to define who you are, but to serve as a tool for relating to the world. You don't have to erase it, but you no longer let it run your life. You live freely in the world, knowing the waves will come and go. But the vast sky above is always here. And when you see this clearly, you understand what peace really is. The benefits of seeing beyond the ego. when you truly see beyond the ego, life begins to feel lighter, not because your circumstances suddenly change, but because the weight you've been unknowingly carrying falls away. The constant need to defend yourself, to prove you're right, to protect your pride, starts to lose its grip. You no longer react to every small trigger, every careless word, every perceived slight. Instead, there's space, a quiet pause, between what happens and how you respond. In that space, you discover freedom. You begin to respond from awareness, not from fear. This doesn't mean you become passive or detached from life, rather, you engage with it more skillfully, more gently. Compassion naturally arises because you see that others, too, are often trapped in the same cycle of ego and suffering. Their anger, arrogance, or criticism are simply expressions of their own inner pain. Seeing beyond the ego allows you to meet the world with an open heart. Defensiveness softens. The urge to win every argument fades. You no longer feel threatened when someone disagrees with you, because your sense of self is no longer fragile or dependent on constant validation. And from this grounded place, your relationships deepen, your patience grows, and your inner peace becomes unshakable. It's a shift that touches every corner of your life. Work stress no longer controls your mood. Conflicts lose their sting. Even the challenges that once left you anxious or resentful now become opportunities to practice understanding. Life stops feeling like a battlefield and starts feeling like a sacred space to learn, connect, and grow. This is the gift of seeing beyond the ego. You stop living in a constant state of defense and begin living in a state of presence. And in presence, life is richer, kinder, and infinitely more peaceful. Practice 1, breathing with awareness. Let's begin with something simple. No need for complicated techniques or intellectual effort. Just sit down. Gently close your eyes, and feel each breath as it comes and goes. Inhale deeply for 4 seconds, hold for 6, and slowly exhale for 8. Repeat. No rush. No forcing. Let your breath become a companion, a gentle heartbeat that carries you back to this very moment. In the Buddha's teachings, the breath is a doorway back to the body and mind. When you breathe in, know that you are breathing in. When you breathe out, know that you are breathing out. It sounds simple, but within that simplicity lies wisdom. Only when your mind is fully present with the breath can you see the subtle movements of your thoughts and emotions. The ego often rises like a wave, pulling us into strong emotions, anger, defensiveness, anxiety, or the urge to prove ourselves. You can't stop the wave from forming, but you can anchor yourself in a place of stillness so the wave passes without sweeping you away. Mindful breathing is that anchor. Each time your ego reacts, each time you feel the impulse to respond immediately, come back to the breath. Inhale, knowing this is an in-breath. Exhale, knowing this is an out-breath. At first, it might feel challenging. Your mind will want to wander, chasing more interesting thoughts, or returning to the familiar stories about me and mine. Don't scold yourself. Simply notice it, and invite your mind back to the breath, like calling a child in from the yard for dinner, gently, without force. Spend a few minutes each day sitting quietly, simply observing the breath. Don't aim for peace or stillness. Let things be as they are. Over time, something beautiful happens. Your mind begins to settle, emotional waves become transparent, and you start to clearly see the difference between the ego's reactions and the voice of awareness. This practice isn't limited to meditation sessions. You can carry mindful breathing into any moment, while listening to someone speak, while driving, waiting in line, or right when you feel irritation or anger begin to rise. Each time you return to the breath, you are choosing peace over reaction, presence over ego. Breath by breath. It teaches you something essential: you are not the wave of emotion, you are the vast ocean that holds all waves. From that space, life feels lighter, deeper, and freer. Noticing the voice in your head. The ego doesn't always arrive like a loud guest at the door. Most of the time, it hides quietly in the constant mental chatter that follows you everywhere. This chatter is like a subtle background noise, so familiar that you often forget it's even there. It comments on everything: what you're doing, what others are doing, what you should have done, what you might do next. It compares you to others, judges your actions, defends your identity, and sometimes even attacks you. This voice in your head isn't a problem in itself. The problem comes when you mistake it for you. You start believing that every opinion it whispers is the truth. That every fear it imagines is real, and that every judgment it makes is justified. The ego thrives when you're so merged with this voice that you don't even know there's a separation. Today, I want you to try something very simple, but if you do it sincerely, it can change your relationship with your mind forever. Just listen. That's it. You don't need to argue with the voice. You don't need to silence it. You don't need to replace it with better thoughts. You only need to become aware of it. Imagine you are in a dark theater, and a movie is playing on the screen. The characters, the plot, the emotions, they're all there. That movie is the stream of your thoughts. Sometimes it's a comedy, sometimes a tragedy, sometimes just random scenes stitched together. You are not one of the characters. You're not even the narrator. You're the one sitting in the seat, watching it all unfold. When a thought appears, I can't do this, they don't like me, I should have done better, treat it like a scene in the movie. Watch it, notice it, and let it pass. The moment you become the watcher, you've stepped out of the ego's trap. You're no longer a prisoner inside the story. You've become the awareness in which the story appears. This is one of the most important insights in Buddhist practice, that you are not the noise in your head. You are the still, spacious awareness that hears the noise. The thoughts come and go, but the awareness remains unchanged. Just like clouds drifting across the sky, they can't touch the vastness of what you truly are. At first, you might find the practice uncomfortable. The ego doesn't like to be seen. It may get louder. It might say, "You're wasting your time." Or it may try to pull you into planning, worrying, or daydreaming. That's okay. Each time you notice this happening, smile inwardly and return to listening. Even noticing that you've been distracted is a victory, because awareness has returned. You can practice this anywhere, while walking, eating, or even waiting in line. You don't need to close your eyes or sit in silence. The key is to shift from being the voice to observing the voice. Over time, you'll realize that the voice loses its grip on you. It's still there, but it no longer runs your life. Freedom doesn't come from killing the ego. It comes from recognizing that it's not who you are. The ego is like a shadow, it can only exist when you believe it's solid. Shine the light of awareness on it, and it loses its power. Every time you practice this, you're strengthening your connection to the part of you that is timeless, calm, and unshakable. That part doesn't need validation, doesn't fear judgment, and isn't thrown around by every passing emotion. It is the essence of your being, the clear sky beyond all clouds. And the beauty of this practice is that you don't have to force anything. You don't have to win against your thoughts. You just have to notice them, over and over again, until you realize that you've been the watcher all along. That realization is the beginning of true inner freedom. The gratitude pause. There's a quiet secret that wise ones have known for centuries. The mind cannot hold both discontent and gratitude at the same time. Just as darkness disappears the moment light enters, resentment and the sense of not enough dissolve when we open our hearts to gratitude. Yet in our modern lives, we often get pulled toward what's missing, the goals not yet reached, the desires not yet fulfilled. The ego feeds on these gaps. It whispers, "This isn't enough, you need more, you must be better." And so, day by day, we forget the treasures that are already here in the present moment. This practice is beautifully simple, yet its depth is far-reaching. 3 times a day, pause. No special setting is required, just slow your breath, close your eyes if you can, and gently ask yourself, right now, what am I grateful for? Find 3 things. It could be the cool sip of water on a hot day, the song of a bird outside your window, a kind message from an old friend, or simply, the breath moving through you in this very moment. And you begin to realize that happiness is not a distant peak to conquer, it's the small stones of joy already under your feet. The ego slowly loses its fuel, because it cannot survive in an atmosphere of enoughness. Gratitude is a quiet reminder that you are already whole, right here, right now. And when you truly feel that, peace is no longer something you chase, it's something you radiate. 3 times a day, 3 moments of gratitude. It may seem small, but these are 3 doors that open into a deeper, loving kindness meditation. There is a doorway to freedom from the chains of the ego, but it does not open through force, intellect, or argument. It opens through love. Loving kindness is like the morning sunlight, quiet, unhurried, simply radiating its warmth. Yet it has the power to dissolve even the thickest darkness within the heart. Loving kindness meditation, metta bhavana, is an ancient Buddhist practice for cultivating unconditional love. This is not the kind of love that comes from attachment, demand, or exchange, but a natural, boundless love that makes no distinctions and asks for nothing in return. When we practice loving kindness, we open our hearts to embrace everyone, those we care for deeply, those we struggle to get along with, and even ourselves, whom we often treat with harsh criticism. Begin simply. Find a quiet space. Sit down, close your eyes, and soften your breathing. As your mind begins to settle, silently repeat to yourself, "May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering." At first, it might feel unfamiliar, even awkward, to send these blessings to yourself. The ego often whispers, "You're not worthy yet, you need to be better first." But the truth is, why should I wish them well? They don't deserve it. But remember, loving kindness does not mean approving of harmful actions, it means freeing your own heart from hatred. When you send love to someone you resent, you are not excusing their behavior, you are dismantling the wall between you and them, and unshackling yourself from bitterness. Love does not make you weak, it makes you strong, because nothing can break a heart that is open. Set aside a few minutes each day for this practice. In the morning, it can set the tone for a warm-hearted day. At night, it can release the heaviness you've carried. Over time, loving kindness will not only appear when you sit in meditation, but flow naturally into your words, your actions, and your thoughts. One day, you may realize the walls your ego once built have quietly disappeared. What remains is a vast, open space where every living being is embraced in unconditional love. In that moment, you are not merely living, you are loving life itself. Practice 5, Body Scan for Presence. Find a position that feels truly comfortable, you can lie down or sit upright, as long as your body feels relaxed and supported. Once you're settled, gently close your eyes and bring your awareness to this very moment. Begin at the very top of your head. There's no need to rush, and no need to expect anything in particular. Simply know that you are there, sensing the crown of your head exactly as it is, without naming it, without analyzing. From the crown, allow your awareness to slowly drift down to your forehead, your eyes, and your cheeks. Notice each part of your face, perhaps there's a slight tension around your eyes, or a gentle warmth in your cheeks. Just acknowledge it, as if you're watching a cloud silently passing through the sky. No pushing it away, no trying to hold on to it. Continue down to your neck and shoulders. You may feel small knots or tightness, these are often places where the body stores emotions left unprocessed. Instead of resisting them, meet them with a soft, compassionate smile. In Buddhist practice, this is a moment of mindfulness of the body, not to fix or change it, but to understand and embrace it as it is. Let your awareness travel down your arms, into your hands, and all the way to each fingertip. Sense the life flowing there, subtle streams of energy that we often overlook. Stay long enough to notice that your body is not a solid block, but a continuous, living movement. Next, rest your awareness on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. Each beat is proof that you are alive, present, here. Offer a silent note of gratitude for this simple yet profound fact. Then move down to your belly, where the breath enters and leaves. This is the gateway back to the present moment, a place where worries about the past or future have no hold. From the belly, move down to your hips, thighs, knees, calves, ankles, and finally to your feet and toes. Feel the contact between your body and the ground, solid, steady, and supportive. Like the earth itself holding you with unconditional care. Throughout this journey, the most important thing is not to label your sensations. The moment you say, pain, numb, or comfortable, the ego begins to weave a story around the experience. Instead, sense it directly, without adding or subtracting. This is the art of resting in the body, a profound practice that loosens the grip of the ego. When your mind is fully anchored in the body, you'll realize something beautiful. The body only exists in the present moment. It doesn't know tomorrow, it doesn't dwell on yesterday. That's why, when you connect with your body, you also return to the now. And in this now, the ego cannot survive, because it lives only in memories and projections, never in what is real right now. Body scanning is not merely a relaxation exercise, it's a gateway to freedom. Every time you practice, you plant a seed of mindfulness, strengthening your ability to live without being swept away by thoughts. Over time, you'll notice a lightness in your being. A softer way of responding to life, and a quiet stillness within, like a calm lake reflecting the open sky. If you keep practicing, this awareness will naturally weave itself into your daily life. While walking, eating, or speaking, you might still feel your feet touching the ground or the breath rising in your chest. And this subtle connection will allow you to move through the world without being pulled around by the ego's demands. To maintain and truly integrate mindfulness into your daily life, the key isn't about how much you do at the start, but whether you can plant the seed of a habit and nurture it steadily over time. You don't need to take on every single practice at once. If the mind feels pressured and the body isn't ready, trying to do too much will only make you quit sooner. Instead, choose just one practice that feels natural, gentle, and right for where you are right now. It might be mindful breathing in the morning, when the world around you is still quiet and you can take a deep, nourishing breath, feeling the cool air fill your chest, and then release the tension from yesterday. Or it could be a short moment of gratitude at lunchtime, pausing in the middle of your busy day to remember that you still have breath, food to nourish your body, sunlight touching your skin, and people whose presence brings warmth. Or maybe you choose an evening body scan, lying down after the day is done, slowly moving your attention through your body. Silently thanking your feet for carrying you, your hands for helping you, and your heart for beating patiently through it all. The secret to lasting change isn't intensity, it's consistency. Just like tending a garden, even if you give it only a few drops of water each day, the plants will thrive. But if you let it go dry for too long and then pour a bucket all at once, the damage may already be done. The mind works the same way, it needs regular nourishment through small, steady moments of awareness. Remember, even 2 mindful minutes can change your whole day. 2 minutes where you're not chasing the ego's demands, not caught in regret, worry, or fantasy. 2 minutes where you're fully here, feeling the breath, sensing your body, knowing you are alive right now. When you practice this daily, even with just one method, your mind begins to store that state of presence like a safe home to return to whenever life gets turbulent. Or find yourself pausing more often to give thanks. This isn't a burden, it's a gentle journey, where each step and each breath becomes part of the path. As the Buddha taught, drop by drop, the jar is filled. By patiently adding one drop of mindfulness to your life each day, you'll find yourself growing steadier, calmer, and freer from the chains of the ego. You don't have to wait until everything is perfect to begin. Start today, with one practice, in one moment. Then let that moment lead you further on your path toward awareness. Your ego will never disappear completely. It will always be there, whispering in your ear, trying to protect, control, and steer every decision. It will tell you that you must prove your worth. You are far bigger, deeper, freer than any limit the ego can set. Beyond the noise of the ego lies a quiet space, a place untouched by praise or blame, success or failure. It's the space of pure freedom, where you no longer chase approval or fight to prove your value, because you see that it has always been there, untouched and unshakable. Life will always be unpredictable. Challenges, losses, and moments of deep doubt will come. But when you return to mindfulness, you don't have to wait for the perfect moment to start. You don't need a free day, the right mood, or a special retreat. The truth is, the best time to begin is now. Begin with one deep breath. Begin by feeling your feet on the ground. Begin with a silent moment of gratitude for simply being alive. Choose one of the practices we've explored, maybe morning breath meditation, an afternoon compassion pause, or an evening body scan. Give it just a few minutes each day, like a gentle appointment with yourself. Don't force it. Don't aim for perfection, just be fully present in those moments. Over time, you'll notice changes. Small conflicts won't rattle you as much. You'll react less impulsively. And you'll find yourself less caught in comparison or envy. You'll start noticing moments of peace appearing more often, not because the world has grown quieter, but because your mind has learned to be still even when the world is noisy. Remember, this journey is not about killing the ego, but about living with it consciously, so it no longer drives your life in the shadows. When you live from awareness, the ego becomes just one small voice, not the ruler of your mind. So today, give yourself the gift of trying. Begin small, but be steady. And one day, you'll look back and realize you've stepped into a different life, a life where freedom and peace are not distant dreams. It's about creating a steady rhythm in your life, a gentle reminder to return to the present, to your true self, and to the peace that has always been here. Every week, you'll find new teachings, guided practices, and heartfelt reflections designed to nourish the mind, soften the heart, and help you live from awareness rather than from the restless pull of the ego. I also want to hear your voice. Share your reflections in the comments, the insights you've discovered, the challenges you're wrestling with, or even the smallest moments of mindfulness you've experienced today. Sometimes, what you share could be the light someone else needs in a dark hour. In this space, your words are not just comments. They're seeds of understanding that may grow in ways you cannot imagine. Let us build a quiet, compassionate corner of the internet, a place where wisdom flows freely, where we walk side by side, where our presence uplifts one another. Here, we can remember together that freedom is not found in striving or perfection, but in the tender awareness of this very moment. One breath, one step, one mindful choice at a time.